Good afternoon, it's Joyful Hermit. I finally got dressed. Probably need to try to go out and get the mulch away from the roses. We're having a very early spring, although I'm not sure if I can. I'm still very disoriented and dizzy and sick with pain. Um, so anyway, I I did find out that the one who was having surgery last Friday, a week ago Friday, was doing great, was up and around even as early as Sunday, and so I'm happy for that. I also find some, I guess, sardonic humor in it too. It maybe is, we have to go on faith. I'd offered so many prayers for him, and yet still, he couldn't respond to my phone call, 2 phone calls. I found out I'd asked his secretary to please leave a message, and she said no, she had not. And then still nothing from my spiritual director, who had told me about a year and a half ago, "Oh, I'm your friend, count me as your friend." And this morning I was realizing we really should not have expectations of other people, just expectations of ourselves. My expectation of friendship is a little different than that. It would be to at least take time from a schedule to call or to ask the secretary to email or something and say, "Oh, tell her I'm praying for her," or something like that. But a dear friend called yesterday, and she's been a lifelong Catholic, and she knows the ropes. She lives elsewhere, and she says, "Oh no," she says, "they only think liability. They only think liability." Unfortunately, that's what has happened to priests in our time period. A lot of them, not all, I'm sure. But I did call the police yesterday because I thought, well, if nothing else, if they could find out who did this to my neck, even though they didn't mean to hurt me, but explain to them that they should never move. If they think someone's injured, like these people evidently thought I was dead or stroked or whatever, they should not move the person, especially not their head or their neck. I'm now looking at, they say, months of getting better. And sometimes these severe whiplash cases can last a year or longer, or even you have problems the rest of your life. But the police then immediately, the woman at the desk, I might call again another time and see if I could get a different person to talk to. But she, "Oh no, you have to get a lawyer. You'll have to get a lawyer to do all this, to have it traced back and all that." And I said, "I don't have money for a lawyer. I'm not interested in a lawyer." But there again, that's how our society thinks. And so I guess I will leave it at prayer. These people will never know. Someone came by yesterday to bring me eggs and said they'd never seen the people before and may never see them again. Just weird. I remembered this poem. This was back, because also a long, long time friend called me this morning to say that they didn't have time to stop by. They're just in the area for about 3 days or so. And I mentioned something just about, you know, how I have to accept my life as being a little different. We grew up together. But he gets very uncomfortable. And with anything that I might mention of even of sharing how, well, he didn't know it while we were growing up, but that I had experiences then and didn't understand. And he doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't, I guess it's one of those things that people who grasp or see things in a different level have to accept that others do not and cannot, and even get squeamish about it. And that can include priests who don't understand, but definitely other people, other friends. Um, and I'm blessed to have a friend in Louisville who does, and of course my children who grew up with me and know, um, even though they're not, I don't usually talk about it, but sometimes you need to express and try to understand for myself how strange things are, as far as just if there's an accident that's going to happen, it seems like I'm in it. Or the reality that yes, if I do pray for someone, that there's the chance that I'm going to have this suffering and that other person will have sort of incredible, unbelievable healing. This person had kind of a tricky surgery, and 2 days later was just great. Has been all week. So, and probably he can't even fathom that I may be suffering, uh, and just out of sight, out of mind. So I wrote this poem back when I was a Protestant, and I had changed churches to one that had more professors from a more of a Bible college, in and we had Sunday school classes, and I thought, well, it would help that they might understand more of the Bible and more of the spiritual, because when I'd moved back to my hometown and joined again the church I had grown up with, a Methodist church, I realized I had grown a great deal and had studied more scripture, and also with my spiritual life, that I just moved on to a different place. And so I thought, well, if I got to this other Protestant church, it was, I think, Church of the Brethren or United Brethren, that these college professors who teach the Bible classes would, um, that, it'd be at least a very interesting Sunday school classes, and something that I could strive for then and learn myself, because they would be beyond me, and they were. It was great for knowing different things about the Bible, and I even took on just visitor status a couple of courses, one on the book of Isaiah, and one on, another one was on the book of Joshua, and then I took a semester of Greek. I had to stop that because I had terrible pain siege and missed over a week of classes, and Greek is nothing that you can miss much of. So, and even after the pain siege, then I wasn't able to really learn, to study for another week or so. So, anyway, this is part of the life of victim soulhood and also of the mystical life. But in this church, the second one, that the Bible study class, the Sunday school classes, even then, some of my comments, I guess, I didn't realize it, but they alarmed a couple of the women. And the minister was sort of on edge around me a little bit, sensed something a little different. So, and the assistant minister, though, was very kind. He was the one who introduced me to one of the sisters at the convent. Um, but anyway, I wrote this poem about 6 months, but when I realized that it wasn't working out in this Protestant denomination, and I had been through about every Protestant denomination you could, and wasn't finding, and kept resisting Catholicism. But this was the last church I was in before I did then take the leap and became Catholic. But this poem, it's called No Room, and yet it could still be many times over in my nearly 17 years of being a Catholic. And it's for those of you who consider the mystical life, or who are mystics, or who think you would like to have mystical experiences. It's a little more of a reality check of what it's like. And even within, I was watching a Padre Pio video this morning online, and once again realizing the suffering he went through. People do not understand, and you do suffer a great deal, physically and spiritually, and you are put through trials by those of your very own, of your fellow Catholics, or of your spiritual directors, of priests. No room. There is no room for a mystic these days, no room at all. Standing in temple hall, pain scuttling through body, too soon words misunderstood fall. Mention experience, encounter with God, a spiritual reality of soulful ecstasy. Others bristle, form unspoken judgment, sow frozen seed of lost opportunity. Unaccepted once more, learn lonely lesson of silence. Can't stop screaming sighs, yearning for love of my heart, lamb's belly breath, burgeoning womb, beloved groom. Can't they see with inner eye, silver flash, or hear the tinkling bell of signal grace, or feel the flames of pure desire for Christ-wed unity? There is no room for a mystic these days, no room at all, too strange, an oddity, spurned as heretical. Dear God, they doubt my Christianity. And I wrote this after I shared with a woman I thought I knew fairly well who went to that church, shared the possibility of vicarious suffering, and I sensed her immediately changing the subject to mundanities. And she later, after I became Catholic, or she had heard that I was in the conversion process, I hadn't even been confirmed yet, came to my home in great distress and concern, saying that she felt that I communicated with evil spirits and that I was going against the Bible, that I was communicating, and the Old Testament that says do not go to soothsayers or consult with the dead or that kind of thing. And I tried to explain to her this is nothing that I seek or that I do, but that these beautiful souls, our souls even, will live in eternity, and that we continue to try to help others. So she didn't understand and ended up saying I was in league with the devil even to consider Catholicism. So, however, at times in my Catholic life, this old priest, who was such a dear and close friend of mine, I read him this poem. It was during the time that I was sort of being tossed out by the devil, but people were succumbing to it from a soup kitchen I had started. And he said this poem could have been written today. And probably if I read it to him yet today, if he were here, he would say, this is for today also. So, being a mystic and suffering and having unusual experiences, while very, very beneficial, mostly for others, because it helps the person with the mystical experience know who to pray for, and on occasion gives consolation to keep enduring. It's nothing to seek with ideas that it's going to be an easy ride, or that others will embrace you or even understand. And also this helps define the hermit vocation for me. This is one of the ways that God does it for me. He cuts out what he finds unnecessary. Even if I had the hope that my friend and his friend would come visit, even his friend works on people, on their body. He does body work out in California, and I thought, oh, if he'd only just come and work on my neck. My appointment seems so long away. It's Monday, but no, his real presence did not choose that. So this is sort of, I guess, what I was meaning with the hermit life, that it is formed by his real presence, not so much by canon laws. It's a unique and individual vocation, and his real presence determines the scope of it, the depth, the breadth, the timing, and who's going to be in your life and who's not going to be in your life. And right now, obviously I can't go to Mass, and it may be a long time before I go to Mass. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this poem. God bless his real presence in you, and thank you for your prayers, and I'm praying for all of you.